it is my honor and my privilege to introduce Jim Rogers, Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer of Eastman Chemical Company.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Nolan. I guess it's to be expected, the older you get, the longer the introduction gets. It's getting to the point that the introduction's about the same length as my speech. Just teasing, don't get your hopes up. Actually, it's an honor to be here at such a fine institution and with all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the stage here and with all those really important people out there in front of me. You know who I'm talking about, the mothers and fathers who helped pay for your education. Seriously, we know whose day it is, graduates. It's your day. It's a day to be proud of, a day to enjoy, celebrate, have fun with your friends and those who helped you get here. It's a day you'll remember the rest of your life. I remember mine like it was yesterday. Okay, who's kidding who? It was 40 years ago and I hardly remember anything about it, but I do remember it was a warm day, it was outside. I remember that I sat with people I had no idea who they were except their last name was Rogers, because we were in alphabetical order, so I had Rogers to the left of me, Rogers to the right of me, and I remember thinking, how could I go 4 years in school and never know any of these people have the same name as me? And the one thing I don't remember who gave the commencement address, and I sure don't remember what he said. And I bet there's people smiling behind me right now, and so we're going to do a little participation here. I want to show of hands, everyone on the stage, how many people honestly remember who spoke and what they talked about? Raise your hand. Okay, in a way that makes me feel better, but in a way that doesn't feel so good, knowing that you're probably not going to remember me either. I do remember I asked my father, I said, Dad, what'd you think of the speech? And he said, I liked it, which wasn't what I was expecting. I said, you did? I said, what'd you like about it? He said it was shorter than a sermon. My dad was a wise man, and I tend to follow his advice. Look, I don't have a lot of those clever little sayings for you that is going to show up in a paper somewhere. I have one main message, and that is to be open to what comes your way. I know you think you have a plan. One promise I make to you, life's not going to go according to plan. And by the way, that's okay. Now here's another little tidbit, another little shocker. Don't worry if you never use your degree professionally. And right now your parents are going, what? What did we pay for? Seriously, I know people who went to law school and they're not lawyers. I know people who went to medical school and they're not doctors. And I know a psychology major who's not a psychiatrist. It'll work out. But let me tell you this, you did get your money's worth. The experiences, the relationships that you've made over these past few years, they have prepared you for life and all the twists and turns that are coming, and I tell you there are some coming, and I wanted to share just a few of the personal ones so you know that it's all going to work out okay in the end. When I was 18, I joined the Navy. The Vietnam War was going on. I needed to pay for college, so I was in Navy ROTC. I knew I was going to go to Vietnam. I had a plan that I was going to be there. The war ended 2 years into school. I didn't have to go. First change. That was a good change. I thought I would get out of school, go into the Navy, be on a destroyer, but somewhere between my second and third year, they hooked me on flying, so I ended up going to flight school and flew for the Navy for 7 years, and that was a good change. Not what I expected. Loved the flying, thought I'd done my time in the military, got out, wanted to go work for the airlines. Seemed like a great job, doesn't it? I mean, they were working about 12 days a month and making big bucks. Good job. I sent out over 100 resumes. They weren't hiring. I was unemployed for a year. That was not part of my plan. When I was unemployed, I read a book about how people had made a great living buying up old houses and fixing up old houses and then selling them. I said, I can do that too. I bought an old house in Meridian, Mississippi for $26,000, put a new roof on it, redid the floors, plumbing, electrical, just about everything you can imagine, paint. 4 years later, sold it for $26,500. I'm shocked that you think that's funny. It still hurts. Unemployment checks run out. A lot of people don't know that about me, but yeah, I got my unemployment check every week. When they run out, it's a life-changing experience again. What do I really want to do with my life? Went back to grad school, got an MBA, wanted to work on Wall Street. I did. Went to work for a big bank called J.P. Morgan, did that for 5 years. I got what I wanted. 5 years later, I realized I didn't want what I'd gotten. Loved the work, but the culture just didn't necessarily fit with who I was. Got a chance to leave, go to a couple other companies, and then heard about this opportunity at Eastman Chemical in East Tennessee. Now, my wife Laura had always been around the New York area. I had in professional years, but when she married me, she said she'd follow me anywhere, and little did she know I was going to bring her to Kingsport, Tennessee. And guess what? That one's worked out just fine. We love it here. We think we found a home here. The moral to this story is that I'm a psychology major, turned into a Navy pilot, turned into a finance guy, turned into a chemical company CEO, and that was definitely not my plan when I was sitting where many of you are 40 years ago. But you know what? It worked out okay. If I had aspired to be a chemical CEO, I honestly believe I would not be here in that role today. I would have made different decisions. I might not have joined the Navy even, wouldn't have been unemployed perhaps, and I wouldn't have had the hunger that comes, the hunger to perform, the hunger to be productive that comes from having been unemployed for a year. I think all of that helped make me who I am today. So there's going to be some curveballs coming. I'm living proof of that. In fact, some of you out there may know that already, right? You may already be on plan B or C or D in your life, and that's okay. I'm saying I encourage you to just keep moving forward and learn from your experiences. I guess the final note on that is a lot of times people look at me and they think, the success is the final destination. It's the job he has today. It's being a CEO. I can tell you that's not true. My final destination really isn't all that much better or worse than everyone else's final destination. What makes us different, and I really believe this, what makes us unique is the journey getting there. And that's the part that I loved and that I enjoyed, and I sure hope you do too. In closing, I just want to point out that a lot of people helped you get where you are. I would suggest you keep those relationships close to you. Keep a place in your life for the people that matter to you. And I wanted to pick out 3 particular relationships if I could. First, parents. I like to think parents are probably the only ones that you can count on to always get unconditional love. And all the parents in the stadium here know what I'm talking about. It will always be unconditional. Spouse or significant other, and I got to be careful because mine's sitting right down there. But the spouse is the one who is going to give you those peaks, the highs, and every once in a while, some of the most lows. They are the ones that are going to be able to touch you the deepest. And it's going to be a very special relationship that's going to motivate you through your life. And the one you might not think about as much is siblings, brothers and sisters. And when I think about that, and I have 2 sisters, these are the ones who are going to know you for a longer percentage of your life than anyone else does. So they were going to be there, have been there around the time you were born, and hopefully they're going to be there towards the end. And so they know you better than anyone else. They've shared your experiences for decades, and especially important, they've got the dirt on you, so be good to them. In closing, I'll just say that I've been blessed to work with fantastic, wonderful people in my life, in my career, especially at Eastman. and I wish the same blessing for you in your careers. Thank you.